during their times, there were many secret teachings that were around, but for the most part, the general public did not know of them. Secret sounds were given to those who wanted to explore the other realms and universes unseen to most humans. This is what Jesus meant when he said, "Listen for the word." He didn't mean the written word, that of the Bible, which did not exist then, but the sound light reality from the invisible worlds. Jesus never wrote anything and did not start what is taking place today. Other humans did. The reason for their secrecy in those days is simple, as the dark forces who rule the first three levels do not want anyone to escape. Almost since the dawn of man, there have been those who gathered others to their favor and contrived the formulas of what exists today, the rep systems. Those who were found to be different were hunted and slain, as this is all part of human history. Pythagoras had his mystery school as he was working with the real guides at the time, but eventually fell to ruins as the authorities found out. The church and those who rule do not want anything to interfere with their plans in keeping people unaware of their full potential. So they continually create fear by making those with more awareness become examples of the authoritarians. The authoritarians use their power position to destroy anything of a real benefit. Here again is where the general public is so fooled about this world they're on. It is a place in life with life forms on it and not life itself. The idea is to live out one's life as respectfully as possible while doing the new you sessions, and eventually, when this life is over, then being guided to the real universes and never having to return again, unless one so chooses. The reason people are so drawn to the ocean and the waterfalls and when it rains is because of the nature of the sound involved. To sit by the ocean or a stream of waterfall and listen to the sound it makes becomes a soothing and healing occasion. Nature provides so much as we observe and listen to all the magic it automatically demonstrates and lives. Keep in mind, the physical realm is not a perfected state of affairs, nor can it ever be, because of the dualistic nature that resides here. Besides, there are far too many unaware souls who constantly pollute the ethers with their thoughts and their intentions, plus the fact that they create and destroy. Nature and its creatures are closer to any reality than most humans, as there are no rules or regulations with the animals, birds, and fish, and they know what to do as they simply live. The Indians knew this, and they taught their children according to what nature is always demonstrating. But when the hostile white man came along, all this began to change to where we are now today, a brief 200 years or so later, and we are ready to self-destruct. So much for the great minds of our time. The real guides do not interfere with anything in its natural order, but always help to provide all concerned. I would say that it would be so obvious to most people what is taking place, even with the major companies claiming to do their part for the environment, which may be true or not. I'm sure it depends upon their bottom line to see if saving anything here really makes sense. Life is about survival, and the basic survival here are real food and real water. What say?
You talked about the cause and effect once or twice, or even 3 times. I've heard Dwayne say that it's really just effects here in the creation worlds. I mean, yes, it's cause and effect, but basically we're the effect of everything here, in essence, because that's just the way it is here. It's set up so that we're the effect of most things, even though we can cause things to happen just by the nature of the creation worlds. It's an effect. So that's something to consider. And then the other thing is that as you were reading, Lila, I was looking at the 5 bodies and how we're encumbered by them. The real awareness, for most people, can't get through. It's real awareness it's free. It's the free being of light, but it can't get through here because of the agreements we've made with the 5 bodies. And then on top of that, like you said, the gods of man purposely hold people here. I mean, they do with what they have, with their power. They also influence the 5 bodies so that we have these unconscious agreements. They're called tap lines to things that don't make sense here. So it's really challenging for a person to get beyond his or her creations and to come into the light of the real awareness, who they really are, because they believe that they are the body, basically. We've been so dumbed down that most people are so one-dimensional. But all they have going into the other dimensions is like a belief or some sort of vague belief or hope, faith in something beyond the physical, but still it's very limited what they have, and you know, it just takes singing a new you to see beyond that, to see through the veils that are here in creation into the real universes, and to recognize your real awareness and the real universes and the isness of life is. Not an easy process, but it's doable. We have the real guides to show us that they've gone before us, so it's doable.
It definitely is doable. You just have to have that courage to stick to itiveness, and it really pays off. This is really real.
As Wayne said before, faith is faith, but you have to have a little bit of faith just to consider that what we're talking about here is real. There can be a benefit for oneself. So yes, there has to be a little bit of a faith, but maybe it's just a risk that you take to get beyond your considerations, to take a look at it. But it's well worth it because it's nothing, it just makes so much sense and it's so real that like Lila read, you never want to come back because there's so much else out there. There's so many other levels and things to do and things to experience and explore that this place is very dull compared to what life it really is. And when I say out there, I mean recognition. It's not a place. It's a recognition with your real awareness.
Yeah, I think maybe people get a little confused about that. You know, this isn't something that you're going to, I have achieved this. It isn't really that. It's just you go more aware of what's happening around you. And I think that's the difference, because we mostly want to strive for something that we can really see and take and be tangible for this. But life is so subtle. You know, it's living every day to its fullest, seeing what's really there, seeing, maybe appreciating all the things that are around us, the trees and the birds and even nature, or just going to the store. Thank you for all this abundance. It's important for one to have the best health and to be able to sustain the physical body so it can continue its routine to provide for itself and explore all the possibilities in life, as it must have the best essentials to live by. Real food and real water are hard to come by all the time. With the drug conspiracy agencies like the FDA and other agencies who just want to drown this world in synthetic drugs and GMO tech food for the sake of control and their own monetary gain to rule over the unaware. It becomes harder for people to know who to trust and what to look for. This is where the real guidance is one of the one-stream provisions will provide. This is where the real guidance in one's dream visions will provide all the answers a person will need. Today is a new way of growing produce from the generally modified organisms which contain altered ingredients from the seeds they are grown with. For the most part, the general public does not know about what they are buying at the grocery stores and what is contained in all the processed products that they're buying. Most of the products are GMO, which the bees, butterflies, and ladybugs can pollute and actually die from these. Then a good position of the public microwaves and their processed stuff, which they think is real food, and the end result is a carcinogenic glow-up of whatever it becomes. Of course, the legal drug dealers always have a so-called remedy, and so most people are subdued by the quick fix. I am sure some of the stuff being sold has an effect, but what about all the natural wonders which are all around us? By the way, these big businesses want to get rid of or make it a prescription to eat an orange. There's so much more to this as one explores for themselves and uncovers all the hidden agendas. We're flooded on the TV with a pill for a headache, for arthritis, for a knee pain, for a backache, for a headache, for your gray hair, your They're running too fast, your ankles hurt, all the things that can happen to you. But they've got a pill for it. That's all. You just have to watch the ads, and there's a pill for that. Real water is just as essential for all of us humans. Originally, our water was from streams and rivers and underground wells. But as commercialization took over, so did the difference in our water. Today, most water comes from their local water districts instead of using the natural means to filter the water supply. They use harsh chemicals such as chlorine, which is a poison, and so developed as one. And what has been termed as sodium fluoride, which is actually a waste product of aluminum. The invented label sodium fluoride was put on aluminum toxic waste to sell it instead of having to pay to send it to outer space, because it's so hazardous and causes all kinds of ailments. But how can this be really so? It's so simple. It's about control and who has the most money and power. Once a person becomes familiar with these dream visions, they will have a protection and a source of knowledge like no one else. This is the reason the rep systems do not instruct anyone about their dreams, because first of all, they have no real knowledge of what's taking place in a person's other worlds. And second, they do not want to expose themselves as frauds and have everyone else more aware than they are. To become more aware is a real cure for all. For those returning in future lifetimes, they will experience this world as not too delightful if it keeps going the course that it is, as it is constantly on a collision course with what is so obvious right now. I would suggest to watch the movies that are being made, because they are an indication of what will be taking place. What do you think about that, the movies? Kim?
Well, that's pretty amazing that it's almost like the future being revealed, it sounds like, in these. What do we see now as the main ones? The one that just set the record as making the most money or being watched the most on Earth. It was about superheroes. They're always fighting something or other. So I guess that's kind of like how it's going to be, whether it's aliens that are like the reptilians or something that are ruling mankind with an iron fist right now, are going to be having to deal with the humans uprising against them and their control and stuff. So I guess it will be some kind of a battle scene on Earth